Hey Sam,
Hey,
how are you?
fine. How are you doing?
Good. You're the number one dedicated UNIV faculty member, attending every session so far. You get the gold star.
Hey. I've been in meetings since 10 o'clock this morning.
I
This is my
understand. I
first.
I I was in one at 8, one at 10. I canceled the 10:30. I've got this one. I've got one at 1:15.
Oh, wow.
Have mercy.
Yeah, that's just what Fridays are, just meeting days. I don't
Yes.
schedule anything else but meetings on Fridays.
Well, Lynn and I were talking this morning. I shared with her a couple of years ago, I think it was in 2017, you did the best lib guide for finding things on the library website and stuff.
Mhm.
And now we're so worried that it's gonna be different, right?
Yeah, it's
But it's okay, and that's okay. We might talk about that a little bit today, but
okay.
it's like
Yeah.
it's so great. I hope you'll do another one. I was sharing it with everybody today.
Okay.
Is it still accessible, or I guess?
It should be, yeah.
Okay, so until
Yeah.
they make that shift, people can still see it, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Because we have to move.
Hold on, I'm gonna send you the link in the
Okay.
chat real quick. Let's see.
All right.
Lib guide. I was so glad to find it. I was like,
Yeah.
I save
Yeah.
everything. I have emails back from
Yeah.
2005.
Yeah.
I do. It's ridiculous. Let me let Lynn in. Here,
Yeah.
I'll put the link right here.
And some of that stuff we have to keep, right?
Yes.
For retention issues, especially if it's dealing with like university business of any kind, those emails have to be kept. So so
Well, good. Then I'm following
my mailbox,
protocol.
mailbox is so full.
So check that link. It worked for us. Hi,
Yeah,
Lynn.
yeah, it's still good.
Sam and I were talking about the lib guides and how it still works. And
Hmm.
so, but I mean, I don't know if the directions on it, in other words,
Yeah,
walking students through the process, it'll be different, but.
yeah. Let's see what I got on here.
Okay.
Yeah, and the great thing about this is that I can update it and the link won't change.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I can update it in real time and it doesn't change anything. I can put, so I have Occupational Outlook Handbook on here, but I don't have ONET, so I can definitely add that
Good.
to that. But yeah, I can definitely update this. Yeah.
Awesome. This is a great resource. And again, you've done so many great things. Everything you do is great.
Oh.
No, it is. I mean, you're absolutely
Thank
the
you.
best. So finding this was
Yeah.
like a treasure. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. So it's going out in UNIV bits, even though things may change. I still think it's a great resource that people can use.
Yeah.
And then they can just inform students, hey guys.
So with the whole Blackboard migration thing, I know how it affects old courses, like we got to go in it, but I wasn't really clear on what's going on with our current. Is it going to, I mean, it's going to change our current classes, right, in Blackboard?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
And I think it's just previous to 5 years. Now,
Okay.
I may be wrong.
I wasn't.
I put two things in my Outlook to remind myself because number one, I have all the the UNIV courses from
Mhm.
2013, and
Mhm.
we've got so many resources, and
Yeah.
I probably have them in email too, but I want to go back and make sure, and it
Right.
won't impact us if we don't have anything in your previous courses that's over a certain bandwidth.
Mhm.
So I don't know if
Yeah.
you've had a chance to look.
I took a peek. I've got so many because I taught history for a long time and I've taught UNIV for a while. So my list is like this long.
Oh, I know. You should. Mine.
I can
Oh boy.
imagine
Oh
because you're
boy.
in every class.
I know, but see, it works out great that they're going to get rid of the old ones because it's like except for the fact that I love to go back and get resources, like when I'm
Mhm.
thinking about lib guides or things from you
Yeah.
or things that other people have done. I
Yeah.
really love going back and getting those. So.
Yeah, and the LibGuide lives on the library site. So
Right.
even if you lost it in Blackboard, the link is still there in the library resources on
Right.
our page.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, I can update that. And like I said, it's a live link, so whatever changes I make, it's not going to affect the link that you have.
Good. Hi, Neil. Hi, Paul. Hi,
Hi.
Heather. Hope y'all are having a good day.
All right.
Good.
Working on getting through some grading.
Have mercy. I only have 33 I'm grading, so I'm just gonna.
Well, when I decide I need a break from that, I work on my annotated bibliographies for class. So,
Oh boy.
Fun stuff.
joys of being a student again.
Yes, I remember those bibliographies.
Yep.
Well, if you don't mind, we'll just give it a couple more minutes for people to join if they want to. Oh, I'm going to remember to record. And I did add it to my reminder, but I deleted the reminder before I remembered. So let's see, go to recording. Oh, it is
We're already
recording.
recording.
Oh yeah, we're good.
So, okay.
Sam, I told everyone you sent me more ghost stories.
Yeah.
So I have to pass them along.
Damn.
Keep waiting.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll hear something and I'll be like, Oscar?
Yeah.
Are they like the red lady from Huntington? Because that to me was one of the scariest stories. I learned it, you know, I grew up in Montgomery, and so when I was in elementary school, they talked about the red lady at Huntington, and I'm terrified.
Yeah.
They're pretty innocent, all things
Yeah.
considered. It's mostly like heard a loud noise, couldn't figure out where it came from.
Mhm.
But poor campus police got called every time.
Yep. Sure did.
They're awesome.
It's spooky up here at night by yourself.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
The creepier one, and I'm just gonna spoil it, sorry y'all, is that someone in Goodwin, back when they had apparently green shag carpet, there was like a fog rising from the carpet and making footprints.
Where was this? Where was the green shag carpet?
Goodwin?
Can I teach more classes in Goodwin next fall? That sounds fun.
I don't think it's there anymore, but
I don't.
I was like, it's
Sam,
exciting.
how long have you been here? I mean, I came in 03.
I've been here. I started as a student in 02.
Okay, that's so cool. I started as a student in 02 as well, the summer.
Oh, cool.
But then I started, I was only working part-time in student support services in 03, so.
Yeah, and I started working in the library in 05.
Awesome. Well, we're very close to coming in at the
Yeah.
same time. That's awesome.
I started as a student in 1986.
Did it have green shag carpet then?
I was trying to remember because I did have a lot of classes in Goodwin. Gosh, I don't have that picture though.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't have selfies from then.
Yeah.
Well, I remember my math classes there, and of course my sciences were down, but yeah, I don't remember carpet, but.
Mm-mm.
Well, okay, guys. Well, we can get started now, and thank you for joining us. I hope you've had a great week. There are just a few things I was going to, maybe update or talk to you about, and then I really want us to use this time to definitely talk about wellness, and probably midterms is probably our biggest discussion today. Just a heads up that we are all aware of the website being updated, and several, in case you weren't aware, and so several links that I've had saved for different things aren't working. Now, I did check in Pressbooks. I don't see any links from chapters 8, 9, and 10 that are impacted. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
I haven't found any, but
Okay.
I haven't been able to go through every link in those chapters.
That's fine.
yet.
I did look and I didn't see anything, but having said that, just be mindful, and you might want to mention to your students, hey, I'm sure they've seen, we're going through the change. Just make sure that I would guide them through, even though it's easy to find on the website. In the top upper right hand corner is my AUM, so they can find it there. I don't know how they usually access it, but
Well, and I know the cost calculator not working is going to impact my kids a lot when they're getting ready for midterms.
mine
So-
worked.
I was able to check and it was working for me earlier.
Oh, it
so-
was?
Mine.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
it
and
wasn't
I'm
working
glad.
yesterday though.
Well, again, if you find something and it might work for some, it might not work for others. So just let us know. And besides that, the midterms, I teach an online class. So this week's engagement activity was included students going, and I created a Google spreadsheet for them to sign up for their midterms. And so we're going to meet, one-on-one for them to present. So even though they're not going to be able to present to their classmates, they're still going to present to me, and then, go from there. So I'd like to open it up. Hey, Stephen, welcome.
Hey.
It's good to see you.
Thanks.
Good. We're going to talk about, hey, the good, the bad, the ugly, how your week was, and any questions, concerns, issues you might have regarding midterms, covering wellness and so forth. So y'all, come on.
Well, I was going to say, and I know Stephen talked to me about this, and I had a peer mentor meeting this morning, and several of my peer mentors, they just cannot access the callings book. They keep getting error messages.
This is going to be the death of me, y'all.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a check-in with my students, but I might start sharing readings outside of the callings book, because I actually never liked Red Shelf. I thought it was not very intuitive, so I had purchased my own copy anyhow. So that's why I wasn't aware that it wasn't working for some of them. So I might just do it a little differently, but I wanted to let you know.
But and I'm really sorry, you guys, and usually I could be more involved. They just, first of all, with Stephen, with these going back and forth emails, I've about had it, because here's the deal.
That was my long distance high five.
Amen. Let me tell you something. I am, because I usually get on, I usually try to take care of business quickly, especially when it impacts students. They need to read callings, so they need to access it. So, and then they email back and forth and this, that, or the other. Well, please send a screenshot. We'll try this, what we have. So, yeah. Do you think it's okay that we scan some pages of callings? I mean, we do have the purchase rights. Is that?
Yeah, it falls under, as long as, and you guys can check, I can check with Karen as well, but I've done this for other classes that have requested it. I mean, we are scanning the textbooks, the SGA textbook program here in the library. We're sending out links that expire to students. However, you can do it as what we call a course reserve. And since it's only available to, if you only put it in Blackboard, so if you create a folder in Blackboard, put everything in there, and it's behind Blackboard, and then at the end of the semester they can't get into it anymore, you're good. You don't even have to go.
Great.
Don't tell anybody I told you.
I won't tell anybody, but we have several copies of callings at the desk. Now, I don't know if y'all have done that or not, but should we just go ahead and scan? I mean, I don't want to cause y'all extra work. You haven't already done callings yet, have you?
I can check. I know they're going through the different books that are down there and on reserve, and I can actually just go ahead and make the request to Karen and ask her to do that.
Great.
And then that way we just, because my students have also told me, some of them, they opted out or they didn't understand what that meant. A lot of them just haven't even opened it. So, but that is something that we can do because it's in Blackboard. They don't have access to it after the semester is over, so we don't have to worry about copyright stuff. But I'll put in make myself a note and make a
almost all of them already bought the book anyhow, so this is just, they still got their money.
Well, here's the deal, and this is what I want to know. Do you have students who can access it? Can y'all, Stephen, you have some? Neil?
So many. Most all of my students can. And those that can't, I told them that once we get the issue resolved, I mean, I'll take their work up until the last day on callings. I mean, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, most all of them can. I'm thinking if we can get, because I know there's a good bit that I've been able to locate online of the actual recordings. And so maybe we could just cherry pick a few of those from each chapter, or just tell them, give them at least the table of contents and try to tell them if they could find the recording to listen to. I don't know if that would help.
Well, here's another concern. They paid $11.99.
Yeah, I know. I heard Heather say that. Yeah, that's the big thing, I think.
Well, I have not forgotten you. I'm going to absolutely follow up. And if I have to stay on a Zoom call and share my screen and let them help, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, Red Shelf has done an incredibly good job of not letting us copy paste or even snippet tool or anything effectively from the from the version that we can access.
Get your phone.
Yeah.
Upload. No, I'm
Screenshot.
just kidding. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's like 100 photos.
But if we can get it scanned again, Sam, thank you for checking into that. And worst case scenario, we can always try to do it if y'all aren't able to. So
Well, and we can use those recordings until, like, so if we have to wait a while for the scans to be done, that might be a good in the middle solution while we wait.
Well, and couldn't we try, I'm looking through this, this MS, Mount St. Mary's University, the Callings Lib Guide that you sent us a while
Okay.
back. And it looks like they can access either a audio recording or a transcript of all of the stories that are in Callings.
Oh,
And
cool.
so I'm thinking maybe just, here, I'll share mine real quick.
thank you. Because
So
I
I'm
remember sending
thinking
y'all this
maybe-
information, but I don't recall that.
Yeah, you can find those. I've been listening to them.
Yeah, so they can either, I mean,
Yeah.
they've got the audio podcast or they've got a transcript that the students can
This is
read.
Great.
So this could be a good fallback option if nothing
Mhm.
else.
Okay. I like that. Excellent.
And so maybe we could just scan a table of content section so they can see what stories are in the week.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Y'all are awesome. What else, guys? What else? I mean, Collins, we've got that. What about midterms? How are your students receptive to, are they confused? Are they happy that they've already done several things that go on the midterm?
Mhm.
I've at least had less students that came in either Wednesday or Thursday of this week saying, hold on, everyone's talking about this midterm project, but I don't think you ever told us about that. That number has at least gone down from previous semesters, so I'll take that.
Well, Paul, maybe you need to introduce it.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Maybe my evil twin did in class, and that's why I don't know, but it's been insane.
I've
What a
reviewed it.
class.
Yeah, I've reviewed it twice with them now. I went through the rubric. I went through what's included. I showed them the really great template that's in there, and I walked them through it and said, "This is kind of how it should look," and they all just kind of stare at me, and nobody's asked any questions. So I'm expecting a slew of questions the day before it's due.
I'm having part of my class on the first class meeting this week be partially a work day.
Yes.
Because I did have a couple of requirements that I had them do that were a little different than the template.
Sure.
So I'm still making them choose semester by semester which class they're going to take,
Love it.
so they can use their plan of study as their resource for that. But I want them to think it through and try to determine which classes have prerequisites and all those things. But so far, I haven't had a ton of questions. I've had a lot more questions about service learning, which I think is par for the course. And I'm going to be conferencing with them on their service learning projects, because a lot of them are hitting the learning part, but they're not quite hitting the service part. And it's a little tricky because we don't want them to go out and volunteer somewhere so much now. So a lot of times what they're making, the product, could be their service if we can find an audience for that. So I was going to ask you, Amy, and sorry I switched from midterm to service learning,
Please
but
do. This is your time.
I was going to ask if we could potentially get a table out in the quad, the way that I've seen lots of different groups doing that, so that students could maybe present some things to people as they pass by. So I had some students interested in, sharing what your rights are if you're pulled over by a police officer, just know your rights. And he wanted to, make a brochure or something. And so I thought maybe even making a class-wide magazine of like things you should know or things you should care about, and having them come at different times to the table to present it to people walking by could be partially, could be a big part of their service.
I like that. Now, let me ask you this. This is different from what you all had mentioned to me a few weeks ago about having students display service learning, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But either one could work.
No, I like both. I like the idea of the quad. I don't think that would cause any type of Lynn, what do you think? Do you think we need permission, or can we just do this as an event where students will set up on the quad, request tables, kind of like we did at Weeks of Welcome and other things?
I'm going to say let's ask permission, but let's go
Okay.
ahead and start planning it, because it does seem obvious, but
Yes.
nobody's really spelled out what kind of approval you have to have for anything. So.
Okay. I've got a note here to ask. I will create that.
And from what I've heard, I don't know if you've heard anything different, but those go to the provost, which I sent something to him yesterday. I'm wondering how long that will take.
You don't think I should send it, Dr. Clark? You think I should send it directly? I guess I could copy you and send it to, or I'll send it to you first and let you look over it and see what you think.
Okay, and then I'll just forward it to them. And
Sounds good.
don't make it long, but just
I won't.
let's ask.
Sounds perfect. Thank you, Heather. That's a good idea. I shared my screen just to show you that I created a video. Of course, I'm teaching online, but, just to walk the students through. And I created a folder over here on the side for midterm, just because it was easier for them instead of going back to week 3 and then going to week 7 and whatnot. So I don't know if that's helpful for you guys. And of course, I don't know how many of your students are actually coming face to face or not. And I know, Paul, this doesn't apply to your class because for midterms, Paul Fox, excuse me, because Bridge students are doing something else. So what other questions or issues have y'all come up with? What assistance or updates or changes or support from me do you need?
Well,
Does
I'll
anyone
say,
else having? I'm sorry, you go ahead.
no, oh, well, I was going to say really quickly, if anyone student has emailed me, I should have emailed them all back by now, but I was very delayed. 0 out of 10 would recommend planning a wedding and teaching in a pandemic. So my brain has been like, but I have emailed everyone back at least initially, and I'm going to be making some doodle polls that I'm sending out so that hopefully those students can join in and we can Zoom and like talk about some things and brainstorm some things together. So if any of your students have emailed me, they should have heard back by now. If they didn't, please ask them to send again. I've been terrible about it. But just know that I haven't actually met with them yet. So if they're not super sure about their project, it's probably because we're planning to meet next week to have those Zoom calls and those one-on-ones. Sorry.
That's okay. And Heather, if you need assistance or, because I know you've got a lot going on, I'm confident I know you've got it going on, but if y'all need me to help with anything, y'all just holla.
What were you going to say, Steven? Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, in other words, I'll put this in terms of my class. My class went from mostly in class to some online. Now it's like flipped, where I'm getting 4-5 students in a class period. Yeah, y'all have the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The engagement is still there for me online, but not with screens. But I have to call on them constantly.
Mhm.
Are y'all having the same issue?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how are y'all doing that with the midterm? Because I'm getting now, I don't feel comfortable coming to campus. I just want to create a video for my midterm.
Oh no, I told mine we're gonna do, I said if they're not comfortable doing face-to-face, that's fine. I said what I would like them to do is just everybody do it on Zoom. We'll just meet in Zoom those days. And I will give everybody screen sharing and they can just share their screens and do their presentation that way. So that way, and they don't have to turn, they can, I've asked them to go ahead and maybe prepare to turn on their videos. Some of them are comfortable doing that in class. Some of them just aren't, or at least put up like a picture of themselves or something as they're presenting. But when they're presenting and it's on the screen, you don't really need to see their face. You're looking at what they're presenting. Yeah. But that way I don't have to worry about, well, who's coming to campus, who needs to, it'll just all be online. And then that way they can just present that way. And because I think that takes away some of the anxiety of getting up in front of everybody, especially in front of a camera, trying to do that. And it's, it's hard for me to do. So.
And that fulfills digital literacy as well, because as we all know, you're going to be presenting over a screen more and more these days.
Yeah.
And I would recommend, like we've said, ask them to send you their PowerPoint. And So you, and I would even suggest that maybe you click on it if they have to say, okay, you can go to the next slide or whatnot.
No, yeah. I was going to say the screen sharing thing does make me nervous with some of my students, but because some of their appearances have made me kind of nervous at times. But no, what I did was all materials are due Monday to me. It doesn't matter, and I already assigned the days, but all materials are due Monday, so I have time to look at them before Wednesday and then the next Monday.
Mhm.
I just want to know if y'all can relate to this.
Yes, I said that to all my students in class the other day, and they loved it. It's a great one.
Yep.
One thing I've done with my students is I had asked them early on who wanted to do, not coming into class, who wanted to stay virtual the whole time. So I have a list of students who were supposed to come on, the first day, who were supposed to come on the second day, and who chose to be virtual. And those who had chosen to be virtual, about half of them meet asynchronously, but the rest pretty well join us in real time. So I'm going to go based off that. I'm going to send out a list later today saying, here are the people I have listed to present on, Wednesday. Here are the people that will present the following Monday. Here are the people that I will have present virtually. And then allow students to let me know after that if they need to change. But kind of set up forth a precedent of, you told me you were comfortable coming to class. This is the day you told me you wanted to come. This is the day you will present.
Has anybody come to class on any day and no one's shown up?
Almost.
I've had two.
I've had
For
two.
a minute, it was just one person.
Okay, and I saw Neil nodding his head.
Yeah, I've had one day in one of my bridge classes where none of the students showed up in person.
Did they pipe in?
Oh yeah. If this is just about whether they've never come to the classroom, then one day that's happened. There's never been a day that I've logged on to Zoom and they weren't there.
Okay,
If
great.
that comes, then I'll be very worried.
I'm worried. I've got 2 of my 17 honor students who really are being flaky about showing up. And that's not very typical to me for honor students. And I'm just kind of worried that I know we have to be flexible, but that some of them, and I wonder if my students are doing that, or some of yours too, just really kind of thinking, oh, I can watch the videos later or catch up later. I don't know. Do y'all see some of that?
Definitely.
I mean more than usual?
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest, as a student as well, I would see where that line was, and that's where I would go. So if I knew I could get credit by watching lectures later, a lot of times that's what I would do, which is one of the reasons why any of my students who aren't joining us in real time, they have an extra assignment every week. And that has seemingly helped several people come to that virtual class at least. Now, they don't always come both times, but I would say 98% of my class at least once a week, and probably about 90% twice a week.
That's great. Yeah. No, I moved those like participation points into like a quiz related to the reading, which now I'm thinking I achieved one thing, the reading, but they're not losing points if they don't show up. But I can't really penalize them if they watch the recording later, though. I mean, you know what I mean?
And that's why I do my participation points. If you come to class, that's when you get those. If you are doing it asynchronously, you have to do a discussion, and you have to show me you're engaging, and that's how you get those 10 points. That's worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had something similar in my class like Heather's doing. So for my students who attend either in person, because we only meet one day a week now in person, because on Thursdays I was having like, again, 1 or 2 people show up and everybody else was online. And so I asked those students, I was like, are you okay just meeting online? And they're like, yeah. So Thursday is just all Zoom for everybody. Tuesday we still meet in class, and it's been okay. But for my students who are just doing it asynchronously, I tell them, you have to do the discussions for every discussion reading. If you're coming to class in person or you're attending in Zoom, you don't have to do those discussions because we're going to talk about them in class. And that seems to be doing okay, although I've got to go and look at the grading. But I'm just having trouble getting them to come at all. Like yesterday, I had 9 people come yesterday out of 24. Well, 22 now because I had some drops, but 9 out of 22. it's disheartening.
Yeah, I've had the least amount of students I've had in my classes too, but I haven't told them they can go yet because I don't want to teach just to a screen. So the good news is though, I don't think I've ever had a UNIV class where such a high percentage of my students have completed all the assignments. So for me, I'm not as upset in a sense, or worried. I mean, I'm worried, but I'm not worried that they're not getting it in a sense, because they really are completing the assignments. Now there are a few that haven't, but if they haven't, I mean, they grossly have not completed the assignments, right? They haven't done anything. But very, very few are in that boat.
Well, and I know I've already told my bridge class once, and I'm going to really start hammering the point in once midterm check-ins with Sissy finish up. But that class is now at the point where we could have everyone there and fit in the room if we needed to. And so I'm going to start telling them, look, some of you that are struggling and are sending me 24 emails a week because you don't understand the Google slide presentation, you are highly encouraged to come to class both days. Now, obviously, there's no way I can really enforce that other than if you come to class, you won't have to spend as much time emailing me because you're confused. But so I'll pitch it as time management, I guess. But I am going to do that for that bridge class. I hope that'll help some.
I have a class like that too, Paul, where I have a couple that are doing it online, and the class size is so small now that even if everyone who is choosing to attend in person came on the same day, then we would not be over our limit. And so I have told them, because that's the one that I've had 3 people in or 2 people in, and I think they would benefit more from being together. And a lot of them I know will want to come both times, because they had a lot of students tell me in the beginning of the semester that they would prefer to come both days if possible.
You know what I was thinking? This experience for our incoming freshmen is going to boost them, and in my opinion, is going to help them be successful in college. I mean, even a step above than, say, freshmen last semester who, came face to face, but those who are actually making the effort. You have to go in, you have to log in, you have to do all these things. I just think it's a great skill and opportunity. Now, if I had the choice, I would not want to do this, but I'm just saying that that's a positive.
No, I think so. On that note, last class, when we looked at college level writing, one of the last activities we did was write a paragraph together, and the topic I gave them was, how has COVID affected your college experience? Give me some brainstorms, and overwhelmingly, most of them said that what's hurting them the most is their lack of social skills. They said that they feel like they're encouraged not to engage with anyone. And so when they're on campus, they're not, doing the regular activities that they would normally be doing to get integrated in college life. And so they feel that they're almost more apprehensive to talk to someone now. And so while I think what you said, Amy, is right on, they're going to be so advanced, I do wonder if they're going to, if it's going to be weird talking to people again once the time comes, but it may be weird for us too.
You're right.
I still put mine in groups, but I just make them, I say, turn and talk from afar. And so I've still forced them to socialize a bit and get to know each other. And, I know I've mentioned it every time, but I ask those stupid attendance questions in the beginning, and that has really helped them build community, because, sometimes we'll be talking and I asked what was an innocent, unpopular opinion you had, so nothing political. And, there's always a student who's like, Harry Potter sucks. And so then in the chat, you'll just see, you take that back. You get out right now. And, them joking back and forth. And it's really nice to see that in this environment when also most of my students have told me, yeah, I just feel like I can't make friends. I feel like I don't really know anyone. And so one of my students, we actually had brainstormed maybe having some little Zoom calls where we can invite, if you're interested in true crime, join this Zoom call. We're going to talk about this, documentary. Or, hey, if you're interested in crafting, join this Zoom call. We'll talk about the things we've made. And we haven't started that yet, but that's one thing that might actually be her service learning project, getting some of that going. But the unpopular opinion, highly recommend. It was good.
Something else that I've
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Something that I've tried is originally I was going to do, if we're going to do breakout rooms, everyone, if you're in class, I wanted to try to get in class to mix with the online group. And what it was meaning is my in-class group was turning into a silent room of awkwardness. And so now that group is working together and we're having great conversation. And then the peer mentors just taking on and leading that group. And then I can then pop in and out of Zoom rooms and help with that. And so that's what we've started doing. And it's, I mean, we do four corners. So we're gonna shout at each other from the four corners of the room, but we have good conversations. And I mean, Davinia literally pulled a chair in the middle of the classroom and would spin around and talk to the different students as they were sharing. But I think that's kind of helped some. And it gets my peer mentors out of I'm the chat manager, which I think has been really good. That's helped them some.
Mhm. Yeah. So yesterday with the class engagement, the peanut butter and jelly instructions, I threw them into breakout rooms, and they really enjoyed it. So they kind of finished up kind of quick with the instructions. Some were really hilarious, but they said they enjoyed being able to do that. So I'm going to start incorporating the breakout rooms, especially on Thursdays when it's everybody, online for Zoom, doing that a little bit more for them.
So Sam, your class does not meet face-to-face on Thursdays?
No, we were up until like a week or two ago.
Do you go to the classroom or no?
No, I stay in my office.
Okay, so in other words, do you put a note on the door? Because we just need to be aware, because if somebody, the administration.
I sent out emails, and we had a class where just about everybody was there, and we discussed it, and I've posted.
Okay.
But I will go ahead and put something on the door for them.
If you will. And
I've not had anybody come back and say, hey, I showed up to class, nobody was there.
Right. Again,
I was having I had two people. One day I had one for like 20 minutes, and then the other person showed up late.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else was online.
Sure.
And so I was like, and I asked them, I polled them, and the majority said, yeah, let's just do one day in person. And I've gotten more people coming on Tuesday now in the classroom than when I was trying to split them. And so Tuesdays are a lot better, but Thursdays are still just, even on Zoom, it's hard to get them there.
Yeah. Which is FYI, the administration expects, if the class says it's face-to-face, they kind of expect us to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I know that these are unprecedented times, and I know that things happen. So, and just an FYI, if something comes up and you're not meeting face-to-face on a day or whatnot, would you please let me know? You can just shoot me an email. Hey, this is what's happened, and this, that, and the other, so we'll know, and we can, share that information, because, we are asked, hey, this class meets face-to-face these 2 days, but nobody was there. So, thank you.
And they did check once this semester, and I was very pleased
still.
with UNIV and honors, because we,
Yep.
So again,
we're doing a good job. Yay.
Y'all are awesome. Y'all rock. Something I did for my online class is I went ahead and broke my students out into groups early in the semester, and I grouped them according to their major. It kind of worked out really great. So, we've got a group of 4, 3. I even put the undeclareds together. Now, I know that there are pros and cons to that, but I saw a benefit. But anyways, so they've been working together in those groups, and hopefully they're discussing. And I told them, hey, guys, use your group to talk about your midterm. Maybe, hey, what are you doing? What does it look like for you? This, that, or the other. And then come time for the final, hopefully they will have connected well. But anyways, just thought I'd add that. What other questions or innovative, fabulous things like Sam and Heather and Stephen, Neil, Michael, Paul, Gwen are doing?
Well, I'll just report I used polls. I think that was fun. And it's one more way to make sure, like if you get 16, it tells you what % of people voted. So those people who've got their phone on and have left, you can call them out. And you can do anonymous or non-anonymous, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I did I actually stole an activity that we did in our class this last Saturday. And we did the 6 Lives activity, and I had class virtually Monday and Tuesday because I wanted to be able to walk them through some Zoom tools. Let's talk about reactions and polls and how you do screen sharing, all that kind of stuff. But so I gave them, they had to come up with a group definition of success, and then figure out which of the stories they thought was most successful. And I also asked them, how easy was it to come up with a group group definition and a group vote on which was the most successful? And I honestly think that was the best day of discussion we've had so far. And I had every class, I had multiple students that I had never heard a peep from since the first couple days when we would do attendance checks, or is that really you behind the black screen in Zoom checks, that were speaking up. And so I thought that was kind of a fun way. So I'm going to twist it a little bit, not sure how, but for our next callings discussion. But that was a lot of fun.
It is. You know, Paul and I are in one class together at Auburn this semester. And so during class, I emailed Neil Saturday morning, was like, Neil, look what we're doing. Because Neil had just said the day before what he was doing with his class. So I was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
Passing those doctoral, or however you pronounce it, on to freshmen. I like that.
Well, and my classes enjoyed it when I told them that I was like, just so you guys know, I did this in one of my Auburn classes, and that's, I'm working on my doctorate there, and there were a couple students that were kind of like, oh, okay, that for some, that got a couple students to kind of sit up and get going a bit. It was kind of fun.
Awesome. I did want to mention that my workshops this week for PowerPoint, I had 4 students, which is not a lot. I had 3 one day, and I think I've emailed every professor who came. The cool thing is on Wednesday, I logged in, nobody was there, but I stayed in, and a student came in 15 minutes late, and I was there, and we had a great chitter chat. And so I've got their email addresses, and I'm following up today with some information. Just so you'll know, anybody who came, I helped them through the Microsoft 365 PowerPoint process, but I did say to make sure and touch base with your professor regarding details, because you all have freedoms to change things, and it may not be what I'm doing. So, and they understood. So.
Well, my student that came in that is actually a bridge student was like, this project sounds kind of cool. And I was like, well, I do like the midterm, and I'd be happy to, so, we may kind of break that project up and do that as some of our, some in-class things in that bridge class after the midterm, just to kind of get them going through some of that. And so, because I also started explaining that project the first day that we did that in our 1000 classes, and my bridge as well, because I opened the wrong presentation, and it was my 1000 instead of 1004. And a couple students were like, oh, okay, so will you do this and this? And they were interested. So we're going to break it down and do it piece by piece after the midterm.
Love that.
Yeah.
What else, guys?
I have a question about kind of looking forward to next semester. And I know faculty across campus are already kind of talking about this, but with the online, the high flex hybrid kind of models, and I know they want to put into the course schedule when it comes out that if it's online synchronous or online asynchronous or the mix, like because I know right now we're giving students the option to do this asynchronously. However, when they registered for the class, it said it meets on, like my class, Tuesday, Thursday, 6:20 to 7:35. You signed up for it. You should have this time available. You shouldn't be scheduling other things to do during this time just because you can do it asynchronously. And I think that's part of the problem with some of my students showing up, and some of them come sometimes and they don't, and they'll magically turn things in, without having gone through the process of talking to you. But is that something that we're going to think about for the spring, that if it has a specific meeting time, even though it's meeting online, are we going to limit it to you have to come during class time? And could we have a separate UNIV, like maybe yours, Amy? It kind of sounds like it's just all asynchronous, or just have, if it's online, then if it's only online, then it's asynchronous. There's not going to be that we meet at a certain time, because I think that might help with attendance, to where we're not letting students just kind of out there in cyberspace and coming in when they can, and they're engaging with the information, but are they really learning anything from it? Because we're not having any contact with them other than we see they've submitted something in the grade book.
That's a very good question. And I will say, obviously due to COVID, we are following administration and AUM policies and accommodations. So the university said this, and this, and because of that, we are following that. And so, and to be honest, otherwise, UNIV doesn't have an attendance policy. We could say you're supposed to do this, that, and the other. And if they don't come, what do you do? It's one of those things that just me, and I hope y'all will give some feedback too. But again, depending on, and I think what we heard in this morning's supervisors meeting, that Dr. Stockton is working on a policy for spring. And Lynn, you can jump in, or other people. So hopefully we'll have an update. Sam, I completely understand and feel your pain, because we want our students to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do? Yeah.
I think it's a positive, though, if we add that one more option of a synchronous online, because I really think, and Neil's probably the most experienced online, but that some mix of synchronous is very good for them, especially in freshman level. Yes, Neil, did you have comments about that? Or?
Yeah, so in terms of online teaching, most of what I've done has been asynchronous based, because that's how online courses are conceived at most of the institutions. But I do think that especially for this course, that mix is really important, because I think often the online courses that are designed as asynchronous, it's because the people taking them want an asynchronous experience. And I think we're seeing far more students right now who don't want an asynchronous experience, but need to be online for a variety of health reasons. And so I like the idea of a kind of mixture for those. I know that in addition to the official meeting times, many of us have organized to meet with small groups of students at various points. And I think a sort of optional or supplemental part on top of it can be really helpful for that. The fully synchronous online is rough just because of the kind of technology problems many people face in long Zoom calls, and that it's not conducive to them doing other work during it. Because I've had to tell some of the students, hey, you're gonna have to jump off this call to do the assignment, because it sounds like you can't download it, you're running into bandwidth issues. So I think that flexibility is really helpful. A fully synchronous online one, I would be suspicious of whether it's the best use of their time, because with discussion, there's so much of dead air for the ones who aren't talking, in a way that there often isn't in the physical classroom, unless it's a very small class. So we did the fully synchronous online one this summer, but we were working with a class of 4 students. It was very easy to make sure that each of those students talked for a good amount of the time, and just, emphasizing, if we're meeting for 2 hours, I want to hear at least 20 minutes out of each student. And not all at once, you're not giving a presentation, but if you're not talking that much, then you're not really in class. But I think with a larger class, once you've got to 30 people, you can't have everyone talk for 5 minutes. You can't even in a 50-minute class have everyone talk for 1 minute and still have enough time for them to do work.
Right.
Yeah, and so I have experience taking all synchronous classes. So when I got my master's in library and information science from Alabama, it is a completely online cohort. I mean, they have face-to-face on campus, but I was in the completely online cohort, and it was synchronous, and I loved it. I think but they've had a long time to, I was in the 6th cohort, so they'd had 5 others to experiment with and do it. So they've had time to do it and make it a really great experience being synchronous. So I wouldn't necessarily advocate for us as UNIV to do a completely synchronous online class, still having that option, face-to-face, you meet Tuesdays face-to-face, Thursday you're online, and then they flip-flop, that kind of thing. But if it is a time like if you're meeting face to face and you have an online component and the students sign up for that, then they should be able to make it to that their synchronous day, whether that's Monday or it's Wednesday, right? Because they should, if it was a face to face, if we were normal times, they should be in class both days. So even with the online, they should still be in class both days. But and I know there's a lot of information, a lot of literature out there about the value of asynchronous learning with online classes, because that's just the way, people want them, and it can be structured really well if it's done well. That's great, but maybe give an option for UNIV. A couple different sections maybe are just asynchronous, online asynchronous, to allow those students who do have other things that they're juggling and they can't be there every twice a week online or once a week online, that sort of thing. But I know I'm having some students who I think who are just, I've tried to reach out to them and I've tried to engage, and I'm hearing nothing, but something will pop up in the grade book. So it's just, I think for some students, it's not a good thing because they don't have those skills that we're trying to teach them right in class, like time management. And if they're not in class with us and they're just watching a video, us talking about time management, we can't engage and ask them, well, how do you do that? And when do you, so it makes it more difficult, I think, for those students who are just kind of spacing out and just turning stuff in when it's due. They're not getting what they really need to out of our class. And so I think that's just something, I don't know how we fix that, but just,
That's a good
I
point.
don't know.
Well, we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place on that too, because again, if they should show up synchronously, for example, if you meet face to face, but yet we don't know what the reasons are, and we can't necessarily say, hey, why weren't you here? We do have an online section for the fall and the spring, and this fall we have 2 online because we had a high demand. Sam, I will say this, having a 620 class sometimes, and my experience in the history of UNIV is that the later the class, there's sometimes a little more difficulty getting people to come, to have them engage, and there are a variety of reasons. But I do agree with you that we need to try to see what we can come up with as far as strategies and ways to help improve that engagement. I shared my screen just because I want to show y'all, my class. Of course, when students sign up for online, we don't know what their other online classes are requiring. And quite frankly, I'll be honest, I don't know if we can say, well, this is an online class, but you have to meet these days, join via Zoom, or I really don't know. I'm not sure what the AUM policy is, but I always offer an optional live class session every Wednesday.
Nice.
Here's the link. So even though, and of course, if they want to meet with me on one-on-one, so if you want to join, come on in. I hold it every Wednesday from noon to 1. And if you don't, that's fine. I record it. I share it. I don't know how many people watch it, but anyways.
You teach, what do you teach? What do you,
So
you
whatever
teach?
the topic is for the week. And since it's on Wednesday, I did that purposefully so I could discuss what we went over Tuesday and then what we're going to do on Thursday. Yes.
If you click on the one about an appointment, where does it take you?
Okay. I have, let's go here and tell me, can y'all still see my screen? Thanks, Dale.
Okay.
Anyways, so if they want to schedule an appointment, they click here and it takes them to a spreadsheet and they put their name.
Nice.
And then we also have the link where they join the session.
That's great. Cool.
Nice. Nice.
Good ideas.
I like that.
Yeah, and I think especially for the online class, having the live session, or I present lectures for them as well, something to give a more traditional experience for that. But I always try and make it sure that there are multiple options for that. And it sounds like you're doing the same thing, where it's not required, but I think many students like having that option, and I think it's a good support for them to get multiple formats for that learning experience.
I agree.
I'll be really curious over the next 4 years to see how the data is on this freshman class. I mean, Amy has said they're going to be ahead in a lot of ways. I'm curious. Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all saw the email from Brad Robbins, but I'm so glad that we added the core competencies, or at least introduced them at the beginning. Now, having said that, for spring and future, I'd like to spread them out and have them purposefully put in different places throughout the semester. But so I know y'all are busy, and if you can't volunteer to help for that, that's fine. I asked him about peer mentors. He said he prefers peer mentors attend. I said, we've got a couple of seniors, like Antoinette Smith. Is she in one of y'all's classes for the peer mentor? I think she's
in Virginia.
Virginia, she is. Lord, she could teach UNIV and she graduates this semester. So, but anyways, that's a good opportunity coming up for students to come and, engage with the core competencies.
Yeah, Brad just sent out the schedule for that for Monday. So, and it looks like there was still one slot that has a TBA. So they may still need one more person.
What else, everybody? What other questions? And I'm so appreciative of all your feedback and input. It's so helpful. I can't wait to go back and watch this. I watched last Friday's session several times. It was really good information. So.
Can't think of anything.
This is y'all's time. So again, I won't hold you hostage, and you're welcome to stay in the room if you want, but.
That was good wait time, Amy. Thank you.
But listen, I truly appreciate you, everyone. I'll call you by name, Sam and Neil and Paul and Stephen and Heather and Lynn. Thank you all so much for your dedication to students, for all the ways that you're being creative and purposeful and trying, what can I do? You're overwhelmed, y'all are stressed, you have a lot on your plates. And so to put students first and all the other things, to the side or whatever, I truly appreciate you. And I hope I'm here for you. Please continue to send your ideas, your suggestions. They're valued, wanted, needed, and I'm here to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, Amy.
You too.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.